World War II was a war of steel and fire, a clash of tanks, machine guns, and bomber fleets. It was the most modern, most mechanized conflict humanity had ever seen. And then there was the one guy who showed up with a longbow, a set of bagpipes, and a massive Scottish broadsword. His name was Jack Churchill, but the British Army had a different name for him, Mad Jack. And believe me, every part of his story is completely true. Jack Churchill lived by a simple, yet utterly insane code. He firmly believed, and I quote, "Any officer who goes into action without his sword is improperly dressed." This wasn't a clever line for the papers. He was dead serious. When Britain declared war on Germany, Churchill, already an officer, made a conscious decision to ditch modern convention. While his fellow soldiers were issued rifles and grenades, he armed himself like a medieval knight. He carried his broadsword, a traditional English longbow, and his bagpipes into every single battle. His first major action came in 1940 during the Battle of France. Churchill and his men were positioned to ambush a German patrol. A normal officer would have ordered his men to open fire with their rifles. But Jack wasn't a normal officer. He quietly signaled for his men to hold their fire. Then he reached for his longbow, knocked an arrow, took aim, and let it fly. The arrow found its mark, taking down the German sergeant. To this day, that soldier is widely considered the last man in any war to be killed by a longbow. When asked about it later, Churchill's only comment was that the shot was extremely satisfying. But the bow was just the beginning. His battlefield entrances were the stuff of legend. Imagine this: you're a German soldier hunkered down in a trench, bullets zinging overhead. Suddenly, amidst the chaos of machine gun fire and artillery explosions, you hear a strange, wailing sound. You look up, and there, standing in plain view, is a British officer playing the bagpipes as he marches toward you. It wasn't a signal or a complex tactic. He just felt like it was the right thing to do. On one occasion, he led a charge playing the bagpipes with one hand and holding his sword with the other. The Germans were convinced he was insane. His own men were convinced he was invincible. During a raid in Norway, Churchill decided a stealthy approach was for cowards. Instead, he led the charge himself, screaming at the top of his lungs, his sword held high. He crashed into the German position, cutting down several enemy soldiers in the darkness. The terrified survivors later told their superiors they thought they'd been attacked by some kind of lunatic from another century. Honestly, they weren't far off. Of course, even Mad Jack's luck had its limits. In Yugoslavia, a nearby explosion knocked him unconscious. He was captured by the Germans. When they searched him, they didn't find top-secret documents. They found a sword, a set of bagpipes, and absolutely zero fear. Mistakenly believing he was related to Winston Churchill, they treated him as a high-value prisoner and sent him to a secure camp. Did he sit quietly? Of course not. He immediately started planning an escape. Not a subtle one, but a bold one. He actually got out, was caught again, and then sent to the infamous Sachsenhausen concentration camp, a place from which few ever returned. But Jack Churchill wasn't like other men. In 1945, as the Third Reich was crumbling, he and another prisoner made a run for it during a transfer. They simply walked away. They then trekked over 150 kilometers, nearly 100 miles, through hostile territory, surviving on stolen vegetables. Finally, they stumbled upon an American armored column and were brought to safety. Jack Churchill was free. When he finally made it back to the British lines, he was eager to get back to the fighting in the Pacific. But the war was over. The atomic bombs had been dropped, and Japan had surrendered. Was he relieved? No, he was furious. His reported reaction was legendary. "If it wasn't for those damn Americans, we could have kept the war going another 10 years. He wasn't joking. Peacetime was, for Jack, incredibly boring. So he made it less boring. He took up surfing on the English coast long before it was cool and even helped design some of the first modern surfboards there. He had a unique way of getting off trains. He'd just throw his briefcase out the window and jump out after it as the train slowed down. And yes, he continued to carry his sword with him, even in civilian life. He eventually found a role as a military instructor in Australia before finally retiring. The man who charged machine guns with a claymore sword died peacefully in his bed in 1996. At the age of 89. In the end, the only thing that could defeat Mad Jack was time itself. His story matters because it's a testament to the human spirit. In the most brutal, industrialized war in history, one man proved that courage wasn't about the weapon in your hand, but the fire in your heart. He fought like a warrior from a forgotten age, and somehow, against all odds, it worked. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe for more.